So you're working on your movie, whether you finished it, you're in midway through it. There's a lot of things that people don't tell you. Like when it gets done, does Christopher Nolan send you a text message saying, "Hey buddy, I heard you just finished your feature film. That's a great job. Come work on Inception 2 with me." Does Steven Spielberg send you a script being like, "Look dude, I heard you're a great filmmaker somehow. Work on this film that I'm sending you because I don't want to work on it." There's a lot of things that you start to build up in your head before a project. I know I built up a bunch of things thinking that my career was going to skyrocket, that my project was going to go this way, and instead it went this way. So let's talk about what actually happens when you're making a movie, after you've made the movie, and some things that I wish people told me before starting and completing my project, Dad Rush. My project, Dad Rush. Before we get into this, a little bit of a recap, a bit of story time. If you want to skip past story time, go to that time code right there. Way back in 2015, I worked on my first big feature film, which was titled Dead Rush. It was a feature film told entirely from the main character's perspective, so all like almost like video game vision. Now, this was the biggest thing I'd ever done, and still to this day, one of the biggest projects I've ever attempted to accomplish. I was way in over my head working on a project day in, day out for almost a year. Now, when doing this project, I learned a lot about filmmaking and probably learned most of what I need to know. Disclaimer, I skipped film school, went straight into making a feature film. I don't know if that's the best thing, but I learned a lot from that journey. So hop into this episode, and I'm going to teach you some things that I wish I knew before I got into working on that project.
Come on, David, get in the car!
The first thing that no one told me is be ready for when your movie is done. That means when it's completed, what's next? This is a great question to ask yourself on any sort of project. What do I do after I've completed something? Usually when we summit the mountain of any sort of challenge, we sort of just stop there. Really don't utilize the benefits of what happens after great experiences. And making a feature film is a huge thing that you do. You'll probably want to rest. You'll probably want to take a break. You'll probably want to step away from movies. But if you're making a feature to sort of get your foot in the door and to excel your career, the best stuff that's going to happen is usually right after the premiere. It's usually when you've screened your movie or it's gone on distribution. When your name is hot and you're sort of the buzzword of a festival, you're going to want to have something ready to present. One of the big things that I never did, I didn't have a script ready for my next feature film. Have that ready. Have your next project ready to present to producers, to distribution companies, to people who find your vision interesting. Because if your film does successfully, or if it does unsuccessfully, you'll want to be prepared for what happens after. If you don't have anything, you're going to miss out on opportunities and you're going to be stuck sort of just in the cycle of your last film. Be ready to launch off, because when I always relate making a movie to, it's your film is your child, and your child is now graduating and going off to a new school, new thing, new life. What are you going to do in this stage?
Action!
Action 1.
Here's a big one. I think making a feature film is just a big buzzword in general. A lot of people think that they need to make a feature film, but you should ask yourself, why am I making it a full-length movie? Does it need to be a feature, or does it need to be a short? Can my short be a feature, or can my feature be a short? Remember that making a full-length movie sounds really cool. It's great on the resume, but it takes a lot of time. My film Dead Rush took me a year to make. Let me repeat that, over a year to make. That's 12 months nonstop, day in, day out, putting other projects on the side and making this my full-time job. Break down the pros and cons. With a short film, there's a lot of different platforms, and actually this generation of filmmaking is a lot more acceptable to short films, and it's actually, I think, going in that direction instead of features, and here's what I mean. If you're a first-time filmmaker, try doing a short film, because you have a lot more avenues for it to go down. You have Vimeo, YouTube, Short of the Week, different online film festivals that take your film and put it up on that platform. That short film can then even get on distribution. One of my first short films, Dead Rush, the short film, ended up getting distribution through an anthology project. So there is a lot of avenues for short content, and that's a really great calling card for you to get your name out and start bringing in different crew members before gearing up for your bigger project. I highly recommend doing a short film before a feature, and possibly even toying with doing like something like a music video or a commercial before doing a short film. Start with really short, then get a little longer, a little longer, a little longer, and that will allow you to understand if this is something that you want to do, and if it is, it shows you how long stuff takes. My next tip of advice, when we were working on Dead Rush, one of the big things was that we got kicked out of a lot of locations. That's the truth of it. A lot of the locations didn't appreciate us sort of staying there for extended periods of time because non-film people don't understand the duration of time it takes to shoot something. I know, it's crazy, right? One shot could take half an hour to shoot. 2 minutes of a scene could take the whole day to shoot. Normal people outside of the film world, and yes, normal people, regular people, can't articulate the fact that 2 minutes can equate to 6 hours on set. So really be clear. And I know when you're trying to get your locations, when you're trying to get into that certain spot, you're going to try and be a little shady. You're going to say like, yeah, it's only going to take a couple minutes to shoot. It's only going to take a couple hours. That can screw you over in the long run. Trust me, I've gotten kicked out of almost every location in that film we had struggles with because we tried to sort of fudge our way into shooting in that space. Be honest and upfront from the very beginning, and you'll have a way better communication with people who actually don't understand the film industry as well as someone else who does. Next thing, you don't have as much money as you think. A tiny chunk of it goes to production, and a huge chunk of it actually goes to distribution and the advertising and the marketing. So your budget already gets trimmed in half before you even see a dollar of it go into actual production. But that leads me into my next point, which is think ahead. Oh my God, totally think ahead. It's one of the most important elements of making a movie. Making my film, there was a lot of stuff I didn't think about. Most importantly, post-production. Now, you're probably like, I can edit my movie and my buddy can probably do some of the graphics. Post-production takes way longer than production, and there's a lot of different moving parts, including post-sound. Now, that's something you don't want to cut corners on. Every single project I've worked on leading up to Dead Rush, I cut corners on post-sound. I did it myself, I did it really quickly, and it reflected poorly. Save a good chunk of your money for post-sound.
Don't turn this way. Always keep it in this area. That way, okay? So never turn behind. Never turn behind, yeah.
If you don't have money to make a feature, make a short. If you don't have money to make a short, make the short anyway. As long as it's not this big grand scale thing that you're going to kill yourself over, try and figure out a way to make the short film. Too many filmmakers and too many creators out there, I think, keep putting their projects on the back burner until they get the right amount of dollars to make it. A short film is... My idea of a short film is just to create something and just to let it be created. And as long as you're not like cutting intense corners and the project's really suffering because you don't have enough money to do it, or you're suffering, just try and do it. If this is your first try at making a film, maybe simplify it, make it a little bit easier, do it with friends instead of professionals, and just attempt to make it. I've learned way more on the projects that I did on stretching a dollar than I did actually having a bigger budget. Next thing, favors stretch further than fortune. Whatever your money is, whatever your dollar amount is, people's time and hard work and effort goes way further than what the dollar amount can represent. And what I mean by that is some of the projects that I've done for like $0, I've gotten more help on than the ones that I've had a lot of money. And that's because some people just want to do stuff out of the passion and goodness of their kind heart. And if they're really involved and they really like the project as a creative, you might be able to just get a lot more out of them than if you were to pay them a small dollar amount. Remember that as soon as you start putting a dollar amount to someone's work, you are justifying how much they are worth. So if I gave you $10, like, oh, so my effort is worth $10 an hour. A couple things to break down from this rule is don't take advantage of people. That is the number one way your film will start to go and dwindle down. Remember that every single crew member, whether it's your cinematographer or just a production assistant, is a person who is designating their time to help you out. They could easily be at home sitting watching a movie rather than helping you create one, but they're doing it out of the kindness of their heart. Respect their time, respect what they're contributing, and understand that they are putting the time and effort to make your stuff work. And if you're the director of a project, a department head, or anybody, have a good communication with your team members, and remember that they're more like family than they are people working for you. When you make a movie, not a lot of people are working for you, they're working with you to make the grand scale vision.
Take 3, soft sticks marking.
Finally, to talk about the most important asset on a film set is time. Never underestimate the power of time. The biggest films, the biggest productions, and the smallest productions always face the exact same limited resource, which is time. Ask any director within the film industry, and they will say the same thing, that they wish they had more time on their project. A film that takes 300 days probably wish they had 600 days to make the movie. Now, they probably don't wish that they were on set for 600 days or worked for 600 days, but they wish they had double the time. There's no better tool to provide more time than pre-planning. Plan, plan, plan. The better you plan, the more time you have, because trust me, there will be problems on set. Someone might try and kick you out. Someone might burn their hands on a burning barrel. I did that. Things will delay you. You have higher chances of things delaying you than things to accelerate you. The best thing that can accelerate your time on set is pre-planning. If you think you've got it figured out, go through it again. Make storyboards, script it out, break down your script, rehearse with your cinematographer, rehearse with your actors, rehearse with your stunt coordinator, rehearse with everybody. Make sure that you've figured out the whole movie in a meeting and boardroom before you get on set, because as soon as you get on set, that's when the magic happens. But no magic's gonna happen if you're delayed with a million different problems, unpredictable problems. Trust me, movies, when you're working on set, there's going to be a ton of unpredictable problems, and just predict that there will be unpredictability about to happen. So the best way to do that is plan for the worst, hope for the best. Woo! That was a big video. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. There's a lot of stuff I wanted to share with you guys. For those of you who like this content and want to listen to me blabble on a little bit more, or listen to a bunch of other creators talk about their experiences, some tutorials, and read some cool articles, you can check out the PremiumBeat blog post attached to this, and there's a lot of really other great articles from some super incredible creators, including some tutorials, some assets, free downloads, some great music, like the music you're listening to in this video, and that's about it. I'll see you guys later. That's it. Bye-bye.